Hello and welcome to the Mindfulness Cafe. I'm Dave Evans, the founder and director of the Mindfulness Cafe, and welcome to this our ninth session in our series on exploring Dharma, our true purpose. So, in the previous sessions, we've talked about how our Dharma is a way of exploring your purpose in life, your true purpose in life, and what you're here to do. And mindfulness is the practice that connects us to that inner true purpose and puts us at choice as to how we choose to follow it. So often, and what we're going to do today is sort of explore what is it that keeps us stuck and what some of the antidotes or how we can get out of being stuck in terms of following our path. And often, and I know this is a generalization, but often what happens is we experience emotions that we label as negative, such as anger, shame, guilt, blame, those kind of sort of emotions that we don't really process. We can keep stuck in those emotions. We can even ruminate on those emotions. And those emotions keep our attention. They become a distraction from us following our path. And often, this is why we've got this image here of an actor with a script on a stage creating some drama. Often behind those emotions is a story that we're running in our heads that we're not really aware of. It may be out of awareness. It may be a learned story that we've learned through our childhood or through our life. But when we run that story has an impact of creating these emotions which keep us stuck and keep us stuck in our own drama. And often the story will go along the lines, the main theme of this story is that we're not being content with some aspect of our lives. Maybe it's that we're not happy with external circumstances, we're unhappy with our partner, our kids aren't doing what we want. Whatever it is, that's the story, but it keeps us stuck because it keeps generating these negative emotions. And that's the thing. The reality is, it is a story, it is a script, and we can change that story. And by changing that story, we can actually liberate ourselves. The question is, how? And I know you all know lots of techniques, but the one I wanted to kind of focus on today is gratitude, the practice of gratitude. Because not being content is a learned behavior. I'll say it again, it's a learned behavior. If you think of a young child, who's learning to walk, they don't fall over once and then go up and go, oh, my legs don't work, I'm rubbish at balancing, there's no way I'll ever achieve this, blah, 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 that kind of narrative and story. They get up, they fall down, they get up, they fall down, they get up, wobble, they've learned a bit, and then they take a step and the smile on their face, the glee and joy, and then they take two steps and then they walk from one side of the room to the other side of the room, and each time they're growing and expanding. They're learning to learn, they're learning to be successful, which can be a kind of dopamine, it can be it can be an addictive, positively addictive behavior. But somewhere along the way, we unlearn that. We learn to criticize ourselves. We learn to create these negative emotions. We unlearn this behavior of continual learning and growth, and we learn a behavior that kind of holds us back, gets us stuck, and gets us off our path. It doesn't really matter where it comes from. We can have a whole philosophical course on that. The important thing is, okay, well, how do we get out of it? How do we get out of it? How do we unlearn it? And one way to do this is through gratitude practice, because the gratitude practice, it does two things. The first thing is that by focusing what is, gratitude practice is about focusing on what is good in your life. And so when you start to do gratitude practice, you really feel those feelings. The first thing you have to do is you have to rewrite your internal story. So the practice requires us to write a new story in our minds that literally starts to rewire our thinking. We literally start to change the connections in our mind, and that is our process of unlearning, unlearning the kind of not content pattern and starting to relearn the kind of like success pattern. When we start to do that, you look at a child in a way they naturally smile, they've got natural endorphins. That magically, and I'll put that in quote marks as a bit of a smile, but generates these emotions of positivity and well-being, love, compassion, joy and hope. And whilst it may feel like we're biased towards those feelings, they're also the kind of labels that we have for our natural state of well-being when we're at peace, when we've got that inner peace and we're grounded. Love, compassion, joy, and hope naturally flow through us. When we're in a state of scarcity and shut down and anger, we're a bit tighter, tenser. We don't have those emotions, they can't naturally flow. So the other thing is that joy and peace, love and gratitude can't coexist with fear and anger and shame. So this practice really starts to generate those feelings for us. And of course, once we start to appreciate what's already in our lives, just our worldview changes. Our world instantly gets, quote marks, better. Isn't that amazing? And as our world gets better, so we start to fill up our own cup. And as we fill up our own cup, so we become more available for others. We bring that aliveness into our world. Also, when we've got that aliveness, when we're living our purpose, we're able to respond to opportunities in a much more meaningful way. Rather than seeing the world as happening to us, we start to happen to the world and we can follow our purpose, follow our true dharma. I chose this image here as well to share with you. When life is the secret, say thank you and celebrate. When life is bitter, say thank you and grow. And it's really just a set of focus on how we start to transform those negative situations. Because we could also say when life is bitter, say thank you and celebrate. It's an opportunity to grow. We could also say when life is sweet, say thank you and grow too, because that all of this works together. But we're kind of focusing on how do we transform ourselves? How do we transform, make that transformation, that shift from negativity to positivity, to that kind of natural state of well-being. So just going to move on to our mindful silence practice. We've got the 4 stanzas. The first 2 you'll be hopefully becoming familiar with now. Settling our body and settling our breath, grounding ourselves. And then the third one, breathing in, I'm grateful for my breath, and breathing out, I'm grateful for my breath. That is there just to bring us really back to the beauty of breathing and our body, because without our breath and without our body, we're not here to experience anything. It's a very grounded material experience of breathing in and breathing out, and just really appreciating our breath, because it's our breath that allows us to experience everything else. And our breath is the one indication, breathing is our one indication that we are alive. And so breathing in, I am alive, and breathing out, I am alive. An opportunity just to appreciate the aliveness that's within you as you do your practice. So I invite you now just to pause the video, and you can pause the video and do your silent mindful practice, and I'll see you on the other side. Have a lovely practice. Okay, assumed you've paused the video and come back now. I hope you've had a lovely practice, and just maybe take a moment to reflect on what's coming up for you in that practice, and maybe even just take a moment just to reflect on something that you're grateful for and really experience that. And as you're doing that, I just want to share with you our kind of closing slide, which is our thought for the week. And this is by Lao Tzu. I love this little quote from him. If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never be truly fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have and rejoice in the way things are. When you realise there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. So he's 2,500, 3,000 years old, this writing and knowledge. And even back then, I love that he is teaching gratitude, be content with what you have, and then rejoice with the way things are. He's also teaching nirvana, be present to what is, and the dangers of attachment. If you look to others for fulfillment, or if you put your happiness depending on something outside of you, such as money, you're never going to be happy. So I just love that wisdom. And when you do become content, the whole world does belong to you, because there's nothing lacking. You've got nothing lacking. So our invitation for the week in terms of a ritual is stop, breathe, grateful, go. And yeah, just take moments just to stop and take a breath, be grateful for your breath, and be aware of what you're grateful for in that moment. moment by moment. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video and practicing with us in the Mindfulness Cafe. Just checking out and saying thank you. Wishing you a wonderful mindful week and a week full of joyful practice and deep gratitude and appreciation. Thank you very much for listening and watching this video, and see you soon. Bye for now.